You don't want to be stuck feeling this one way and feeling like you can never be super, super happy, or you can never, cry and heal and feel your emotion. And that was something that I had been missing for years that I didn't even realize until I got off birth control. And so I knew I had to make a change. All right, so I'm Kylie. This is my first YouTube video. I wanted to come on here and really just be a bit more vocal and vulnerable about my experience getting on birth control, getting off birth control, and how my life really changed after getting off birth control. Coming closer, know that I'm a mess. Tangled up in wires, I can't catch my breath. I run. The reason why I got on birth control, I was 15 years old and I was having the worst bleeding. Like, I'm telling you, I was bleeding through my pad and tampon. TMI, by the way, like, I'm just gonna start the video by saying TMI. There are going to be a lot of things shared in here that are pretty vulnerable. So if that's not for you, skip. I would legit be wearing a super tampon with a ginormous pad on. And I kid you not, I one time bled through both of those in the first hour of high school. And I was at my class and I stood up at the end of the first period and there was just blood on my chair. And I literally had a tampon and a pad on. As you can imagine, I went to my mom. I was like, Mom, I am done dealing with this heavy flow. I would have the worst cramps. I would be at the bathroom at school. If I was home on the weekends, I'd be at home in bed, just sick to my stomach. My face would be legit green. And I just could not keep living like that, honestly. I was an athlete. I played soccer my whole life, and my period just always affected me, and it affected me a lot mentally as well. I think that's just normal though, like it's something that unfortunately as women, we go through that as young girls, women, and then into menopause. I really just wanted to get a hold of my period symptoms. I had a boyfriend at the time and I wanted to be safe. And I know my family always preached, not to get pregnant super young, to wait till I was financially stable. And it was just a lot to carry and be worried about all the time. I decided to get on birth control. I went to the doctors. My mom took me. Thankfully, my mom took me. And the doctor was like, yep, let's get you on birth control. Let's get you on the pill. I don't even remember the name of the pill because this is what, like 10, yeah, exactly 10 years ago now. I got on the pill. I remember the first week of taking the pill, I felt like I was going to throw up every single day. My face, like I said, was turning green and I would wake up so nauseous. I took the pill until I was 18, so for about like 3 to 4 years. And then the pill just wasn't working for me anymore, only because of routine. Like I said, I was an athlete, so I would travel for soccer very frequently, and I would just forget to take my pills. I did not want to get pregnant. I decided to get on the IUD, the Mirena hormonal IUD. And let me just tell you, that was an experience. Oh my gosh. I literally stopped taking the pill the same day that I got the IUD inserted. The day that I thought IUD was going to be inserted, actually. Let me make that correction. I show up to the doctors. I'm like, I'm ready for the IUD. I made an appointment. I was ready for it. And the doctors are, doing all the stuff down there. My legs are open on the table. And the doctors are like struggling. I can hear them both like working together, trying to get this inserted inside of me. I literally remember they pulled it out and it was just covered in blood. The IUD, this little tiny thing. IUD, I'm not sure if you're familiar, but it's like literally this big, like this big in between my fingers. And they insert it and it goes into your cervix and it basically keeps you from getting pregnant. Let's just say that, because it does. 99.9% effective. So I'm like, yes, let's do this. But then, like I said, there was complications. So the doctors actually prescribed me a pill. They said, sorry, it's not working today. Let's prescribe you this pill that's going to dilate you to about 5 centimeters.
Oh my God.
If you can imagine, when you're giving birth, you are dilated 10 centimeters, I believe, before you give birth, before you can like push the baby out. This pill that I took, I had to then come back a week later. I took the pill while I was in class in college because you had to take it 3 hours early before your appointment. I take the pill, I'm sitting in class, I'm like cramping, like worst cramps. I kid you not, I'm having like mini contractions in English 101 in college. I was a freshman at the time. And I was just having all these cramps. And I'm like, oh my God. So I left class early. I literally didn't drive at the time. I didn't have a car, couldn't afford a car. I lived in San Francisco, still live in San Francisco. So I literally took an Uber. I'm in this Uber. I'm like gonna throw up. I'm so nauseous. And every minute or a few minutes, I would just have this extreme like cramp. And I'd like hold on and brace myself. It was the worst thing ever. Yeah, just think period cramps times a million. I get to the doctors. And this doctor is different than the one that I had before. And her advice was, because it didn't work the time prior, that she would give me a shot. I didn't understand what the shot was for. I still don't understand what the shot was for. But it just shows how willing I was back then, even when I wasn't educated or didn't understand what was going on. I was just like, sure, do this. I trust you with my life. They open me up. They give me the shot. And all of a sudden, I'm hyperventilating. Legitimately like I can't breathe. And the doctor's like, honey, you're going to need to calm down. You need to focus on your breathing. We can't insert this if you're hyperventilating. And I'm like, okay. So I didn't even realize I was hyperventilating. I thought I was breathing normal. That's the crazy part. I guess I slowed down my breathing. I feel like I blacked out. But next thing I know, the IUD is inserted. And I was pretty nauseous afterwards. I felt sick. I still had cramping. And then the rest of the day, I was just in bed. I took a bunch of Advil painkillers and was just like in bed, just wrapped up in a ball, crying, just in so much pain. The next day, I had a soccer game. I played college soccer at the time, so I went to my game. I was just fine. Fast forward, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the symptoms that I had while I was on the IUD and the pill. When I was on the pill, I feel like after being on it for a few months, there was no symptoms. I was fine on the pill. There was really nothing wrong with it besides the fact that the routine was just, really hard to take it at the same time every day when I was in college. But when it comes to the IUD, I feel like there were a lot of symptoms that I was having that I didn't necessarily realize were because of the IUD. When I got on the IUD, I feel like my digestion completely changed. I feel like I was constipated, but then also had diarrhea. I could just never win, honestly, with my digestion. I completely lost my period. When I got the IUD when I was 18, it was November 2018. I got off birth control September 2024. So yeah, do the math. I'm thinking so hard right now. After a few months of being on it, I just completely lost my period. Never had really PMS symptoms that I was aware of. Never bled. Not once in the however many years I was on the IUD did I bleed, which is insane. Not even spotting, just nothing, just no period. It was like I was no longer a woman with ovaries and reproductive systems. For a while there, I was really glad I didn't have my period. I would brag about it to my friends, oh, that sucks, you have a period, I don't get my period. Just because I felt like everyone was always complaining about their period. Oh, my cramps, oh, this, oh, I get acne, oh, this, that. And I always felt so privileged to not have that. I was just fine with it and I just accepted it. Oh, I don't get my period, that's great, right? And then over time, I started talking to my friends that were a bit more educated in women's reproductive health and just women's health in general, fitness, nutrition. And those friends were like, do you think that's normal that you don't get your period? And I'm like, I mean, yeah, it's because of the IUD. They're like, but you need a period. Women need periods to shed all of that inner lining and process our emotions throughout the month. And a cycle, right? A cycle of life. I was just on one playing field. And I never experienced those like emotional downpours, crash outs, and I never really experienced like high emotion. I was just very almost like zen, but like heartless zen. Calm, quiet, collected, but deep down, I had all this like built up emotion and not necessarily trauma, but just these built up like limiting beliefs. And not only limiting beliefs, but I just feel like I could never let go of things. I was just on this one playing field and never like working through my problems and my emotions. I think the reason why I started to think about getting off birth control is one, I no longer had a period and I was no longer a collegiate athlete and I was just no longer an athlete, period. I felt like my period wouldn't inconvenience me. You know, if I had one, it wouldn't make me feel shitty or make me feel bloated. I really wanted to just reconnect with my body after stopping sports. I feel like I would kind of reclaim like my fitness journey and my health journey. I wanted to really tap into my hormones and my just reproductive health and make sure that everything was okay because I hadn't had a period for years. And so if it wasn't for the help of like a few of my friends, they literally were like, you know, we have this thing called the Aura Ring, and there's other ways to track your ovulation and your cycle and your period so that you don't worry about getting pregnant if you do get off birth control. And that was something that I had never even thought of. I was just like, birth control, that's the number one way to protect me from getting pregnant. I just feel like I have like a whole career ahead of me and I don't necessarily want to have children just yet. That's not to say there's anything wrong with having kids at a young age. It just was not in the cards for me with going to college. My friends really started to help me process the possibility of no longer being on birth control. If it wasn't for them, I would be scared shitless and I'd still be on birth control at the moment without them. I feel like the Aura Ring and them telling me about that was also really beneficial because I didn't want to just get off birth control and just like hope for the best and like, you know, pray that I don't get pregnant and be as careful as possible. I wanted to be backed by science when making a decision about my reproductive health. So I would recommend this book that one of my friends recommended me at the time. This is the book that literally saved my life. Two of my friends put me on this book. It's called Taking Charge of Your Fertility. Honestly, game changer. It taught me so much about the menstrual cycle and just women's health in general. It taught me a lot about fertility that I did not even know even remotely. These are my friends. They helped me get through this period of my life, transitioning from being on birth control for 10 years to then going cold turkey and just getting off of it. It was a crazy time. I made an appointment to get my IUD removed, and I was really scared because I had been watching YouTube videos of girls talking about like all these like horrific stories. I was reading articles online, which of course I shouldn't have been, but you know, I want to like protect myself and make sure it's the right decision for me. So I would watch all these videos of these women's experiences saying, oh my gosh, have you ever heard of like the IUD Mirena crash? All your hormones are just gonna crash and they're gonna be all over the place and you're gonna be a mess. You're gonna get acne all over your face. You're gonna gain all this weight, all of these crazy things. I was just freaking out. So I made my appointment. I remember I made it in August, right after I was getting back from a trip. I was like, okay, let me just go on this like vacation, enjoy my hormones being stable for now. And right when I get back, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna get it removed and I'm just gonna go for it. And I, of course, prepared. So I had done a bunch of research on what helps women balance their hormones. So some of those things were, you know, recommended to me by friends that I read online from different doctors and things. One of those was magnesium, taking magnesium, and it helps relieve period cramps and stabilize your hormones. The second one recommended by a friend was raspberry leaf tea. And I feel like that one really helped stabilize my hormones. The crazy part is when I got back from the trip, I didn't go to my appointment. I literally canceled it because I was like, I'm not ready. I can't do this. I was just all in my head because I felt like I was going to regret it. I'm like, do I really want to have a period again? And like, risk all those crazy symptoms coming back, like cramping, nausea, back pain, and let alone just bleeding every month. I had not done that in years. And so why would I want to just bring that back upon myself if I could just keep avoiding it and just stay on the IUD? Because, the IUD was good for like 10 years. So I still had like 5 years left with it. I was just like, maybe I just wait for the 5 years, making up all these excuses in my head as to why I shouldn't remove the IUD. Then I think a month went by, all of August passed, and I was like, you know what? Let me reschedule this appointment. My friends were like hyping me up. They're like, just do it. Like the sooner you do it, like the sooner you'll realize like how great you're going to feel without birth control. I booked my appointment. It was for September 23rd. And I actually showed up and I actually got my IUD removed. And it did not hurt at all. If anything, it was like somewhat relieving because it was like, okay, get this subject out of my body. Goodbye. We're done with you. We have grown past you. Peace. I got that removed and I didn't have any cramping the days after. I remember after I got it removed, it was later in the day, I went to the beach and I just went and I just laid down and it was like actually sunny out here in San Francisco for once, which probably helped. But I just laid there and I just tuned into my thoughts and there was nothing really negative. Everything was super positive. In that moment, I was really, really grateful to have such supportive friends that encouraged me to get off of birth control. And I just felt really, I guess, like empowered that I could make a decision like that for myself, right? And to this day, I'm so grateful that I got off birth control. I will talk a bit about my symptoms that I had when I got off. Not trying to scare you or deter you from getting off birth control in any way. Just think about it. When you're taking something or consuming something every day for years, I was on birth control for 10 years. When you're consuming something, your body is obviously going to have some sort of change when you get off of it or you stop taking it, right? It's like if you're a smoker, like you're going to have withdrawals. Not that birth control is addicting, but I think that it has an effect on your body, the hormones. I'm just gonna share what helped me. What helped me mentally was this Aura ring because this Aura ring tracked my menstrual cycle after I got off birth control. This ring, it basically tracks your heart rate as well as your body temperature when you first wake up in the mornings. When I would wake up in the morning, it would take my waking temperature and it would put it into an app. And that app would then collect all of my temperatures throughout the month. With those temperatures, it actually was able to predict when I was going to ovulate, when I was going to be on my period, and all parts of the cycle. This Aura ring was extremely accurate. I was really afraid that my period wasn't going to be regular when I got off of birth control, just because I had thrown off my period for years. I was like, it's going to take forever to come back. I just need to be patient and careful. I was just so nervous that if I wasn't have a period, how was I going to know if I'm pregnant or not? So this Aura ring really, really helped me with that. And thankfully, my period returned literally within a month. I said that I got off of birth control on September 23rd. I got my period on Halloween of 2024. It took a little bit over a month to get my period back. And this ring literally predicted it on the day I was going to get my period back, which was mind blowing. I was like, no way this little thing can predict my body. Like, what? What also helped me getting off birth control and all of my symptoms was just staying in a really, really productive routine and as healthy of a routine as possible. I was making sure that I was getting daily movement, whether that was walking, lifting, Pilates, yoga. I would work out like 5 days a week and try to walk 7 days a week so that my body was constantly, sweating and like processing what it was going through. Some of my other healthy habits were just eating clean and trying to buy clean ingredients rather than buying a bunch of processed fast food. I tried to just eat whole foods. Some things I was eating were like fish, chicken, steak, eggs. I was still eating dairy. If that works for you, that's great. I was eating whole grains, like I was also having beans and seeds and all of those things and as much fruit and veggies as possible. I also really leaned on my friends and family in this time. I made sure to share with all of my friends and family what I was going through and just how my emotions could be a bit all over the place in the coming months just because of the major change that I was, going through. Also, huge thing, 8 hours of sleep. Trying to get 8 hours of sleep. Even working an 8 to 5 full-time job, I was prioritizing 8 hours of sleep, especially right once I got off birth control, because I know that sleep is what heals us and helps us progress. Let me exercise, let me eat clean, let me sleep, and then there will be no other reason for why I feel like shit if this is making me feel like shit, right? I was like making sure that I was healthy inside and out while going through this. Another big one, I was avoiding drinking alcohol. So I had an esthetician, who works on my skin telling me about how, like, yes, when I get off my IUD, I could experience like, breakouts, especially in like my jawline area and like around my mouth and on my neck and just like, those very hormonal spots on my face. And she's like, just don't worry. Just do your normal skincare routine, eat as clean as possible, make sure you're sleeping, drinking enough water, all of those things. I made sure to do all of that. And when my first period came around about a week before, I just like got like little tiny zits here and there. And I had chronic acne growing up in puberty, like when my hormones were all over the place. I had acne and I still have some scarring to this day. But my esthetician was just like, make sure you are eating clean and doing your skincare routine and you will be fine. And she was right. I had very minimal breakouts. Some people online I would read, they just had these insane breakouts when they got off birth control. But don't let it scare you, right? Because like every body is different. And as long as you're taking care of your body should give back to you. One of the major things I learned from getting off birth control, before I got off birth control, I used to think that I just needed to be go, go, go and always driven and doing everything I possibly can to be successful and not necessarily successful money wise, but just successful in the sense of achieving my goals and getting to that place that I want to be in life. And I realized that it's okay to pause and take breaks and slow the fuck down. You don't need to be in a constant state of stress and urgency, especially as women. In 2024, it was a goal of mine around the time that I got off birth control. I decided to make 2025 my year of finding my femininity again. Right after getting done with college and college sports, I felt like I just had this like urgency to like get my dreams like as soon as possible and just do anything I had to do to get there. I realized that I was losing so much touch with my femininity, and that just made me really sad. Like I just felt so manly and so action oriented, and nothing that I was doing was like compassionate. Deep down, I am a compassionate person and I want to help people. I want to connect with people. And I felt like I just shut myself off to the world for a second and just was like head down, driven, working towards what I wanted. But I realized that's not what matters in life. And I think that coming out of college, we have a lot of things that we're going through. But I think having my IUD and birth control, I was never getting a period. I was never hitting a low. I was just always like go, 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 go on this one level. I really am grateful that I got off so that I could realize how important just relaxing and chilling out and connecting with myself, going on walks and just like slowing my day down and just resting in bed rather than just forcing myself to go, go, go all the time. For women, our cycle is there for a reason, right? Like we're supposed to pause and relax and take care of ourselves. We have times of the month where we're a bit more spicy and fiery and we feel sexy. But there's some times of the month where our bodies are going through a lot. And our bodies are always going through a lot. We literally have the capability to carry a child. Our body needs to have ups and downs, and our emotions need to be able to go up and down. We shouldn't just mute ourselves to living like on this very surface level. I also want to talk about how my period was when it came back. So I still experience cramps. It's been a year. I've had a period every month since last October. I will say, like, I get cramps, but it's one day. It's not even one day. It's like 3 hours of one day. And I get cramps. I throw on a heating pad. I drink my raspberry leaf tea. I take some magnesium. I do whatever I can to get through that because I know it's natural, right? Like women go through this. We cramp, right? Our bodies are changing and evolving. I think it's important to just be ready, be prepared, have that magnesium, that raspberry leaf tea, and be fueling your body, hydrating, get enough sleep. Because when you do start your period back, it's not going to be fun. I'm just being real. Periods aren't great, they're not amazing, they suck. But having a period and a healthy body is so much better than being on birth control and exposing yourself to all the harmful chemicals and just unnatural things and unwanted things that are in birth control. I will say my period is not even near as bad as it was when I was 15 years old. And that's just natural, right? I'm 25 now. My period isn't going to be gushing freaking off the rails, right? It's fine now and I have ways of managing it, right? I'm older now, so I understand my body a bit more. I did my research, I've connected with friends. And so I feel like in times when you are on your period, that's a time where you might lean on your friends and family a bit more, or you might find those coping mechanisms. When I say coping mechanisms, I mean like going for a walk or listening to your favorite podcast or turning on your favorite show, reading your favorite book, rather than just like moping around and like hating your life. My advice to you is please do not be afraid of getting your period back. Or don't be afraid of PMS symptoms. They're really not that bad. And I know everybody is different. Everyone gets different PMS symptoms. But I'm telling you, I had terrible symptoms before I got on birth control. Literally every single one: acne, back pain, soreness of my boobs, literally everything. The worst cramps on this earth. Here I am 10 years later, and my cramps are literally so manageable. You just have to get through it. Few hours, so manageable. Heating pad, all of what I said before. You're gonna be fine. Honey, stop being afraid to have your period. It is a natural thing that so many women go through. And I would sit there and just tell myself, like, I don't want my period, like so much pain. No, stop being a baby and get off birth control. It is not good for you. Sorry, that was a bit cutthroat. My next point of advice is if you're thinking about getting off birth control, do what's best for you. You know what I mean? I waited till I was at a time of my life where it was going to be manageable for me. I was no longer in sports. Do what's best for you and take charge of your own health. And I hope that you have the autonomy to make that decision yourself of either getting on it or getting off of it. But I think at the end of the day, you have to pay attention and tune into how your body is feeling, how your mental health is feeling. And if you feel like birth control is affecting your physical everyday health or your everyday mental health, then you got to make that decision for yourself. Another huge benefit of getting off birth control for me was that my digestion completely shifted. Like I said before, was having like all these crazy digestion issues when I got on the IUD. I just didn't realize it was causing it. Like I just thought it was like my eating habits. I was eating in the dining hall in college. So I'm like, oh, it's just the food. It's bad for me or whatever. But that went on for so long. Even once I was like eating really healthy, I was having all this like stomach pain and bloat that wasn't normal. And when I got the IUD removed, I literally felt that bloat just like disappear from my body. It must have just been like the buildup of like the hormones and my body not being able to fully release on a cycle. If you're having digestion problems, like I was in a similar boat, and getting it out can potentially help. Talk to your doctor, do your research, and see if birth control is potentially causing that bloat for you, because I know it was for me. Something I really want to mention as well is how much my relationships bettered when I got off birth control. I was always such a bitch when I was on birth control, especially the IUD. Because, like I said, I was on this one level. I was never super happy. I was never super sad. So I was like a bit cold. I was like very cold hearted. And I never felt like I was in control of my emotion. The only time I could control my emotion is if I was about to cry or like I was about to lose my shit. I would just be able to be like, nope, who cares? Drop it all, let it go. It's gone. Just forget about it. Would I actually let it go though? No. It'd be trapped inside my body and my brain, and I wouldn't actually be letting it go. But my relationships got so much better. I'm telling you, my friendships, my relationship with my family, my relationship with my boyfriend, literally game changer. I feel like I was actually able to connect with people again. But like I said, I didn't know that I wasn't connecting with people when I was on birth control. I thought that was just me, right? Because that was a part of my upbringing as an early adult. I thought that was just me and my emotions and who I was. And then when I got off of it, I was like, wait, like, why am I about to cry while having a conversation with someone? Like, why can I feel their energy and I want to give them a hug? My advice is that it is okay to take time to pause and heal and connect with yourself. Life is going to keep going and work is going to keep going and relationships will keep going in your life. What's important is that you connect with yourself and you can understand your body and pay attention to it, because at the end of the day, health is literally wealth. As cringy as it sounds, like we cannot do anything without our health. Not just like your physical health, but really your mental and emotional health. If you feel like birth control is just keeping you on like this one emotion, life has so much to offer. And as women, like we can feel so much emotion. As humans, we're supposed to connect with people and like have emotions and like express ourselves, right? You don't want to be stuck feeling this one way and feeling like you can never be super, super happy, or you can never, cry and heal. And getting off birth control helped me process and get through some very negative cycles and habits that I had been, dealing with for the past years that I was on birth control. There's a point to why women are on a cycle and that we go through these different phases of our menstrual cycle. I think ultimately, once I got off birth control, I was able to feel the ups and downs and twists and turns and just like the roller coaster of life, rather than just feeling so shut off to my emotions and like so out of touch with who I was, and especially my femininity. I feel like I was finally able to grasp what that even was once I was an adult. All the years of puberty and my adolescence, I was on birth control. So it just makes me wonder how different that could have been, or those times could have been, right? There's no need to dwell on the past, but now that I'm off of it, I just feel like I'm flourishing, and it has everything to do with birth control and my emotional and mental health. Like, I'm not a doctor, I'm not specialized in women's health or any sort of OBGYN. No, like, I'm none of those things, but this is my experience. And I just wanted to share that with anyone who's thinking about getting off birth control and feels really afraid and alone. I am here to tell you that you are going to be okay and things are going to get better. I promise you. A little bit more about my negative cycles and just my limiting beliefs that I would go through when I was on birth control. Like I was saying about my relationships, I would get super, super negative and just irritable with people all the time. And I guess that's kind of similar to when I am in my luteal phase and like about to start my period and on my period. That feeling, when you're just like irritable and like cutthroat and you're just like, get out of my face, I'm done. That feeling I literally felt every single day of every single month when I was on birth control. Like obviously I'd have happier days than others, but with others in my life, especially people very close to me, I was just very cutthroat and just like irritated. I didn't have time to put up with their shit. I was not as like compassionate and kind as I am now that I'm off birth control. I'm just at like a slower pace now. I can take my time and connect with people and feel their emotions and process that with them and with myself. When it comes to those negative cycles I was in, it was not only in my relationships, but just like I said, processing my own shit and my own issues and shit from my past as well. This is kind of random, and I'm not sure how much of it has to do with getting off birth control. But so I had been off social media for about 3 years, and I was just like, I hate social media. I was so stubborn about it too. The whole idea of content creation and sharing your life online, to me, I was just like, people just are bragging about their lives and I don't understand why they're doing this. And that's just one example of like when I got off birth control, initially was like, why was I ever so like strong on this idea that social media is like the devil? That was just always in my mind. I could never let go of that. When I got off birth control, I started posting content literally the same month that I got off birth control. I got back on my Instagram and I started posting things. I started posting all of my changing habits. I was posting going on daily walks. I was posting my gym content. I was posting nutrition and meal prepping and all of that. And I don't know what flipped in my mind, but it's just an example of that with birth control. I had all these like very stubborn thoughts that I would hold on to. And when I didn't want to be mad or I didn't want to be pissed off or irritated with somebody or something, it was like I could never let go of it. Like it was just stuck. And it wasn't like I was like not furthering my ideas about it or like having conversations about social media or working through things with like a partner. And no matter what anyone told me, even if it was correct or it sounded good to me, I still was holding on to that. Social media sucks, or, no, I'm not going to agree with you on that. I was just so difficult. And I don't know what shifted. It was like instant thing, like boom, all this like fog in my mind and these things that I hold on to in my mind just kind of like drifted away. And it was like, who cares? It doesn't even matter. Why am I like feeling so strongly about these certain ideas? None of that even matters. I feel like I was able to drop this invisible front and wall that I had up, my emotional relationships with people and my emotions towards different topics and things in life. I will just say this is my very first YouTube video, but I plan on making tons more YouTube videos about my habits and how they've shifted over time from living a very unhealthy lifestyle to starting to work out and my whole entire fitness journey. I love sharing things that have worked for me and benefited me. I would love nothing more than to have you subscribe and also follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok. I would never believe you if you told me that I would be posting on TikTok ever. I was so against TikTok and I was so against posting on social media. If you told me a few years ago that I would be content creating, long form content, short form content, I would not believe you at all. Like I would be like, that's bullshit. Follow me on this journey to content creation, but also my fitness journey, my health journey, and just my relationship with my body. I would love to connect with all of you about your health and your experience getting off birth control. If you want to connect further, DM me on Instagram or just message me and let's talk about it. I know that I would not have gotten off birth control without the support of my friends and them just reassuring me that everything was going to be fine and that I was going to get through it and that my symptoms really weren't going to be as bad as I imagined them in my head. I'm definitely here to support you if you are thinking about getting off birth control or you just want to connect about anything. It's funny to say, but I do wish at 15 I knew a little bit more about what I was putting in my body when I was putting it in my body, rather than just being so willing to trust and just be like, yeah, I want to take birth control now because it's going to help me get rid of my period and it's going to help me lessen my symptoms and it's going to, help me from getting pregnant. But looking back, I was super vulnerable and I had no clue what birth control was going to do to me. And yes, I am super grateful that, I was able to go through high school and college without getting pregnant. Looking back, I would never have wished that on myself to put some object or pill or chemical or hormone into my body if I had known a little bit more about it. If you're sitting here watching this and you're just like, girl, there's no way I'm getting off birth control, protects me from getting pregnant, I'm going to tell you that there are other ways to prevent pregnancy that are just as effective as birth control, that do not include adding hormones into your body or putting foreign objects into your body. That being said, I hope the best for you. And no matter where you are in your journey to deciding to get off birth control, or maybe you are just got on birth control, but if you're hearing this video, do what's best for you. At the end of the day, tune into your body, care for your body, right? We only get one body. So please love her. Just please love her and protect her at all costs. And be careful. What you're putting in your body on an everyday basis is very, very important. Don't take that lightly. As I said before, just whatever decision you make, I support you and I hope that it makes you happy. Wait, why do I feel like 2010, like YouTube vlogger? Wait, I'm like Emma Chamberlain right now. Yeah, that's so like I never thought I would ever make a YouTube video and like, be able to sit here and like talk to myself. What is going on? I'm living in an alternate universe right now, but this is fun. So be on the lookout. I'm going to be making monthly YouTube videos and I'm really, really excited for you to follow along. I also want to give some tips for reconnecting with your femininity if you feel like that's something that went out of the window while you were on birth control a bit. When I first started reconnecting with my feminine side, I thought, oh, I'm gonna get nails, I'm gonna have my toes done and like shave my legs all the time and just keep up with all of my physical attributes, get my eyebrows done all the time and like get my hair dyed and every couple months get my hair cut, dress feminine and wear pink and look cutesy all the time, like look sexy. But then I started realizing, I'm like, am I doing this for me? Who am I doing this for? You know what I mean? Like, why am I doing this? Let's pause. Let's go back. Is this helping? And I will say, like, yes, it did help. Going and getting my nails done, talking to my nail lady, and getting my hair dyed. I do think that at the start of 2025, that was like fulfilling my feminine side. I kind of started realizing I feel like I need to do more for myself. This is a bit materialistic and just kind of shallow. I mean, there's nothing wrong with getting your nails done and stuff. I was really, really trying to like get deep with myself. When I got off birth control, I said my emotions, like I was like fully tapped back into them. Let's take charge of my feminine side. So what that meant was just like being at peace rather than feeling this urgency to like just go, go, go and get all my goals completed and strive for all of my future aspirations. And I still can do that. And I still am working towards my aspirations. But at the same time, if we're not present, if we're just thinking about the future and how to be actionable and make things happen all the time, we're not going to be content or at peace. I decided to just try to take more time to just slow down. For me, that was like going to yoga classes and meditating. And it was going on walks and like listening to podcasts and listening to YouTubers that made me feel connected with myself. And I always want to be growing. I want to expand my horizons. But that doesn't always mean getting a new job. Being at peace at the end of the day is what brings me the most happiness and fulfillment. Going on a walk and then getting in the bath and listening to some Janae Aiko and just calming down is what makes me feel feminine and at peace. And if you're listening and you're also struggling with, being in touch with your feminine side and you're just been right in this day and age, like you've just been like working towards your goals and trying to make money in your 20s, it can just feel crazy. And like, especially living in like the United States, like California, it's just like, I live in a really big city, right? San Francisco. So everything is go, go, go. And everyone is trying to better themselves, make more money and be more successful. But when you die, you're not going to care how much money you made, or you're not going to care what, you did or what job you had. You're going to care who you connected with and the people that, love you and you had a lasting impact on, and, what you've created in life. You could make all the money in the world and absolutely hate your life. And I work a 9 to 5 right now and I don't make very much money, but it's stable. I'm realizing that that job I'm not going to remember when I'm 80 years old. Hopefully I make it to 80. I'm not going to sit there and be like, I'm so proud of myself for this job that I had, or I'm so proud of myself for this promotion I got. I'm going to be proud of myself for who I am, who I've touched, and also who I love and who loves me, and just those relationships in my life. the end of the day, I guess I just realized that being at peace and taking care of myself, healing myself emotionally and mentally is what's going to help me get to my goals as well, right? I don't want to feel this constant nagging on my back and on my shoulders and on my chest, just telling me, like, go get it, like, get the next thing, like, get the next job, make more money. I don't want to live like that, right? I want to be at peace and I want to relax. Like, I want to have the time to, like, see my family. I want to have the time to do what I want with my life. That is just connecting with myself, going on walks and, like, watching the sunset. I'm literally looking at the sunset outside my window right now. And being exactly, around a year out now from getting off birth control, I would 100% do it a million more times. And I wish I got off of it sooner. I swear.